Hey guys, welcome back to Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. I did Sealer's level up. I'll flash up the level up summary screen just over here. And I think what we'll do is visit these sites where we can pick up some extra little resources and stuff before we actually go back to Defender's Heart and see how that goes for the Tavern defense, and obviously sell off some of our gear. Okay, let's collect that. That takes 6 hours, that's quite far. Let's go over here. Okay. I guess we can go to the Dead Duelist once we take care of the Silken Thread Atelier. Let's go to Fallen Horse. Okay.
Defeat is not an option.
Order Alchemist. Alright.
Just a little more.
I'm done with you.
Missing quite a bit. Alright, let's take all the stuff. Let's drop everything. Well, drop some of these armors and then we'll pick them up on our way out. Okay, another random encounter.
We will prevail.
A dog can deal with the flame blade, I suppose. Alright, nice. I actually thought it might be the messenger coming to tell us that the Defender's Heart is under attack, but apparently it's just random encounters. Okay. Yeah, let's go talk to Irabeth and celebrate Sealer's reunion, apparently.
Godspeed.
Head in. How much experience? Yeah, we're gonna need quite a bit of experience, so I don't think we're gonna get to level 6 before the Tavern defense. I thank you for saving the esteemed citizens of Convalescing, even though not all of them deserve to be saved. May Iomade forgive my words. Irabeth casts a meaningful look at Count Orende sitting at a nearby table. I don't really mean that, of course. I just never fail to be astounded by the way that good people seem to perish while the not so good prove to be incredibly amazingly enduring. Even so, the Count did offer me his aid. He can't be all that bad. Yes, that's not like him at all. Joining the Crusades is a tradition among Mendevian nobles, but Darren Orende was never too keen on fighting demons. The Count has a certain reputation in Mendev. He's not a pleasant individual by any means, but he's not known for any particular villainy either. The Count enjoys a life of leisure, surrounded by a gaggle of sycophants who are always eager to badmouth the Queen at his command. He likes settling scores too. There was a hero of the First Crusades, Sir Lant, a kind and honest man. After the end of his glorious career as a soldier, he became a wise mentor to the younger generation. He ran afoul of the Count somehow, perhaps by lecturing him about his idle lifestyle and lack of purpose. When Sir Lant died, the Count managed to buy a portion of his estate and ordered the knight's helmet to be reforged into a chamber pot. And of course he didn't keep his little joke private. The Queen was particularly affronted by it, because Sir Lant used to be a most loyal comrade in arms. I was there receiving an assignment from Her Majesty and witnessed the exact moment she found out about the helmet's fate. It's a small thing, but I could see the Queen's anguish at the travesty that had been made of her friend's legacy. That's what our Count is like as a person, and as for his talent for survival, do you know the story of Heaven's Edge? He was the only member of his family to escape with his life when the demons unleashed a magical plague at the Arende estate. Could you tell me more about the events at Heaven's Edge? I don't know all the details. It happened a while ago, back when I was a mercenary and had nothing to do with Canabras. I only know that there was a grand feast in honor of Darren's birthday and all his relatives were invited along with a few other distinguished guests. Everyone died from a mysterious disease someone had unleashed on the estate, including the servants, the guards, and a number of clerics and paladins. But the young Count survived, because of his healing ability, I suppose. Darren does possess an unusually brilliant talent, even if the application of his skills leaves much to be desired. Why is he trying to provoke the Queen? Who knows, it could be some family matter. The Count is Her Majesty's cousin twice removed or something like that. But I think he simply enjoys infuriating people, Crusaders and Iomede's servants especially. Thank you for telling me all this. My pleasure. I'm sorry you had to endure my grumbling. Watching these things happen to my city has put me in a foul mood. Okay, I found Janna Aldori like you asked. Yes, thank you. It's good to have her back. We need every fighter we can get. I suppose it's asking too much to want fighters that are sober as well. The Tower of Estrad has been cleared of demons. Great. The places where the demons have gathered need to be cleared one by one. Then they won't be able to stab us in the back when we take on the Grey Garrison. Thank you for your service. What is our strategy for the attack on the Grey Garrison? I shall lead the rest of my forces in a frontal assault. This will distract the enemy enough to let you use the secret passage and reach the wardstone. Destroy it before the demons turn Iomede's gift into a weapon of the abyss. Most of the allies you've found will join my forces, but you can expect a certain amount of support from them. My opinion on Prelate Halrun aside, it is undeniable that his Inquisitors are a formidable force. You'll benefit from their pinpoint strikes against troublesome enemies. The Order of the Flaming Lance counts among its members both valiant knights and masters of the occult. We are about to test an experimental ritual they've deployed. Should it all go according to plan, your party will have a serious advantage during the battle at the Grey Garrison. In these dark days, the most unlikely allies join forces to fight the common foe. All tieflings are treated with prejudice in Canabras, let alone the smugglers and the thieves of their kind, and yet they are on our side, and I'll make sure their contribution is not forgotten after the victory. They'll be of little use in open combat, but they'll help you spot secret doors and warn you about traps. Okay. These wardstones, what are they? Not sure if I've asked this question yet or not. They are our greatest treasure, the shield given to us by Iomede herself and placed in Canabras and other Mendevian cities and fortresses by her herald. The chain of wardstones forms a protective barrier that stops the expansion of the world wound and keeps the demons from moving beyond its borders. I shudder to think what will happen if the barrier falls. Okay, I have to go. Still need 5,500 experience. Okay. Quick save it here and let's talk to Indira. An imposing young Oreed is surrounded by a crowd of crusaders who are hanging on to her every word. I hope this example clearly illustrates the difference between Jiska legionnaires and from the last war and the crusaders. The perfection of form and spirit they were imbued with during creation turned them into parts of a well-balanced war machine. Not a ragtag bunch of individuals, but a united whole. Now tell me again why I am supposed to be impressed by your reckless assaults where everyone is fighting for their ego and for the right to beat their peers to a swift but pointless heroic sacrifice? Some of the Crusaders grumble unhappily, but it is clear they are captivated by the woman's words. The only exception is a scraggly and disheveled halfling monk whose puffy black eye gives him away as a brawler and a troublemaker. He enthusiastically pushes forward and tries to engage, but one of his friends swiftly jabs him in the back with an elbow, making the poor fellow pause to catch his breath. Quietly listen to the discussion. One of the Crusaders angrily curls his fist tightly and retorts with a burst of passion. If those gists of yours or whatever had come for us, we'd have their guts for garters. You think we've never fought a mighty adversary before? The soldier's stern facade cannot fully conceal his relish. He clearly plans to enjoy this confrontation. The Crusaders around him look upon their exotic opponent with a mixture of irritation and piqued interest. The woman chuckles before cutting off her interlocutor. I would love to see you storm a 60-foot tall walking castle shaped like a gigantic elephant that carries siege fortifications on its back. And I'll have you know these fortifications were defended by Jiskan priest-craftsmen armed with demon-bound war machines. The Jiska Imperium was the first human kingdom to establish itself in the inner sea region after the centuries of darkness and devastation caused by Earthfall. Okay, fair enough. They use the enemies you cannot defeat as mindless weapons. The woman gives the people around her a triumphant look and adjusts her clothes with pointed nonchalance. Her voice takes on Electra's tone. You should not argue with someone who happens to be the most authoritative researcher on the history of warfare 3,000 years before the foundation of Absalom. Absalom has been the city at the center of the world, a metropolis-sized showcase of the greatest treasures on all Golarion. Okay, interesting. The woman looks at you and flashes an amused smile. The lecture is over. Do my esteemed listeners have any questions? Who are you? I'm Indra, a warrior, magus, and scholar of classical warfare from Garund. It's a continent found south of Avestan across the inner sea west of Kazmaron. Okay. The woman peers at you apprehensively, then sighs. I admit that I'm mildly offended by the fact that my name is entirely unfamiliar to you, but I'm willing to accept that this is due to Avestan's isolation from the sophisticated culture of the world at large. Is a continent on the world of Golarion. Okay. You've come a long way to be here. I like to think of myself as an inhabitant of Golarion, and I don't narrowly identify with any country in particular. Why did you come here? To witness a legendary war, a confrontation between denizens of a plane famous for its love of violence and the Crusaders from every continent, united by the common goal of defending their home. An epic struggle of colossal proportions that hasn't been particularly epic so far, truth be told. The monk... a pink eye. The monk with a black eye grins and mutters under his breath. Maybe she just can't see it from here. The view will get way more epic if she stops hiding among us and takes a walk outside. The woman smirks contemptuously. She does not deem the monk's words worthy of comment. It looks like you know more about warfare than any of us. Oh? Am I hearing things, or did someone finally acknowledge my competence in the art of warfare? Perhaps there is a sufficiently open-minded person among the Crusaders after all. I find myself pleasantly surprised. Why don't you join the Crusaders and show them how fighting should be done? No, I'm a historian, an analyst, a theorist. Do you know what these three words have in common? They describe a mortal woman who does not participate in the conflict upon which her thesis will be founded, but then again, I will hardly be able to describe this mess as anything other than a feeble likeness of the last war of Jiska. The monk with the damaged eye grins slyly and comments, the more dangerous the upcoming scuffle is, the more motivated we are to find clever and pretty words to justify not actually doing the fighting. What is this last war you mentioned? The last war of Jiska, of course, a large-scale conflict that took place 3,000 years before the foundation of Absalom. It was a war against the Osirian Pharaoh of Forgotten Plagues, the war that ended the legendary Jiska Imperium. An epic struggle that became the most vibrant page in military history. Alas, all conflicts that followed it were but a pale shadow, including the one I'm witnessing here. One of the first civilizations to rise in the wake of Earthfall, Osirian is also one of the greatest empires in the history of Golarion, a nation of great knowledge, wealth, and power. I guess it's based off ancient Egypt then, with pharaohs. Why do you find the last war of Jiska so inspiring? Imagine legions of golems imbued with extraplanar spirits marching into battle. Imagine flying cities that swoop out of the clouds like terrifying monstrous birds of prey to drop forces on top of enemy castles. Picture gigantic mechanisms powered by captive and very angry demons and devils. Imagine standing in the warpath of walking citadels or having to cover your ears to block out the sound of cannons loaded with shrieking elementals. Finally, imagine the ultimate weapon that defeated the Jiska, the deadly night plague. This affliction was an attack dog, a trained epidemic, a tamed pestilence, striking only those who its master wanted to kill. Imagine all these terrors and understand that no flight of fancy can even come close to the horror of the nightmares that they made real. How do you know so much about Jiska's last war? I can say without false modesty that there is no more authoritative research on Golarion when it comes to the subject, to the history of warfare, 3,000 years before the foundation of Absalom. I've dedicated my whole life to this subject. I've personally visited old battlefields and studied the most mysterious and forbidden archives containing chronicles of ancient wars, sometimes risking my life in the process. I saw a fallen sky city of the Shori Empire with my own eyes. I ripped out the control crystal from an exterminator-class combat golem that guarded a Jiska laboratory with my own hands. These fingers held the glass flask that the servants of Pharaoh of Forgotten Plagues used to create the first generation of pestilence that devastated the Jiska Imperium. How do I know so much? I saw and touched everything I'm telling you about. You're wrong to treat the Crusaders with such disdain. Allow me to explain. A debate? Oh, I will be happy to prove that the current conflict can't hold a candle to the last war of Jiska. Very well. The last war of Jiska was waged using a significantly greater number of troops. Both sides actively relied on reinforcements from allied planes, and their strategic planning was perfected through no fewer than 7 rounds of intensive design. None of the above applies to this war of yours. Compared to the Jiska, we are but stone club wielding kobolds. I would like to conclude my thesis with a few words of wise counsel from Dagon, an advisor to the Pharaoh of Forgotten Plagues. I doubt you will comprehend the true genius of his statements, but here it is nevertheless. A gadfly sees the ox pays no heed to the gadfly, but crimson fever takes them both. Okay. We have diplomacy. That's almost a guaranteed win. And so is knowledge world. Okay. The events of the past are shrouded in legend, but the fate of the world is being decided here and now. That is what you fail to grasp. The principles of war are always the same. Weapons, causes, and resources may change, but the foundations remain immutable. Let's go with diplomacy. The earnestness on the faces of those around you has taken away Indira's panache, encouraging her to backtrack and stumble over words. Of course, I'm not trying to diminish the importance of current events. What I'm trying to say is that from the standpoint of history, and particularly the history of warfare, she falls silent, fixedly staring at the unfriendly eyes of her audience. The true importance of these developments won't become obvious until later. Indira offers a pretentious dismissal. As a scholar, I cannot deny that there is a certain truth beneath your skeptical statements. History is a complex discipline rooted in fact and an evidentiary base that grows ever more meager the farther the described period is from the present moment. Of course, if I were to argue in bad faith, the way the Crusaders embellished their tales of slaying a single Brimarak by adding a dozen Baelors, for example, I could win this debate, but I am above such things and therefore I'm forced to admit that your skepticism is not entirely without merit. I'm sure you would have been able to expound on your arguments in a longer discussion. Indra nods with obvious relief. I'm glad we both understand this limitation. It is always a pleasure to face a worthy opponent, even if the debate takes place in a grimy tavern. Perhaps especially because of that. Indra unbuckles a sword belt and hands you the weapon. This is a worthy blade. It will be of use not only for the strong, but also for the wise. Claw of Jiska. And this is where I bid you farewell. Before the end of the day, I was planning to observe how winged demons use pack tactics to drive their prey like herds of livestock. It is about time I got back to my research. The hint of a smile graces Indra's lips when she sees disappointment in the eyes of many crusaders around her. Stay safe. Okay, that was an interesting interaction. Let's take a look at that weapon, actually. It's a short sword. Flaming +1. Okay. That's a decent weapon for now at the start of the game. Oh, yeah, that's right. We have to talk to a cleric about this stuff. Whenever I sleep outside the walls of the Defender's Heart, I'm plagued by terrible dreams. Can you help me? The priest studies your face carefully. You look tired, but otherwise entirely healthy. If we were anywhere else, I would simply tell you to get some rest, but we are on the border of the world wound, and I'm all too aware of what's happening to you. As you know, the wound is a rift between Golarion and the Abyss, and all the evil that feeds the Abyss does the opposite in our world. It feeds on Golarion. So it is even when we cannot see demons near us, our ultimate foe, the Abyss, is always surrounding us. Many soldiers fighting in the world wound experience similar things. They suffer terrible nightmares, get no peace, and sometimes even lose their minds. But we are trained to help you with this affliction. By the will of Abadar, I have consecrated an altar here. The god's grace permeates the space around it, soothing one's soul and quieting thoughts during rest. So if you find your nerves are fraying, seek out a holy place like this, approach it, and all the corruption will be cleansed from you. Okay. Let's show me the scrolls then. Okay, let's do the bulk selling. Let's see. Let's do the weight. Sell all of that. Okay. Get rid of the books, I suppose. Padded armor. Heavy mace of fire. I think we can hold on to that. Masterwork cookery. Yeah, I think we can get rid of some of these things. Also get rid of some of these books. I don't remember if I've read... there are 5, so I think I've read most of them. Thousand Revolutions, okay, yes. Grace of Peace. Claw of Jiska, Sickle of Falter. I think that's close to... Yeah, I think that's almost everything we want to sell. The rest, I think we can just put into our stash. Let's see. Price. Braces of the Wizard. Grant their wearer an armor bonus of +2, just as though they're wearing armor. And a +3 competence bonus, okay. Icy Protector. Grants the wearer cold resistance. If the wearer has Ice Plant Hex, it grants them natural armor class +2, so we definitely want that. Ring of Powerful Blood Magic. When the wearer is Blood Rage. Don't think that'll be us. Daredevil Boots. Boots allow the wearer to gain extra maneuverability while using acrobatics to avoid provoking an attack of opportunity. Wearer gains. Okay, that's Not really necessary, I don't think. Ah, yes, Death Ward is the one that you wanted. That will protect against level drains and negative energy effects, so we might want to get some of these. Is there anything else that we need? I don't think so. I think this is the main one. Where'd it go? Here it is. I guess we can take 6 of them. Let's see. We can probably sell some scrolls. Inflict moderate wounds. Inflict light wounds. Okay. I think we need to sell anything else. Everything else we can hang on to, so let's do this. Okay. Now we need to go to Sealer. Sealer needs the ring. Deflection bonus. Okay, let's go here. Yep, up to 30. That's perfect. Where's this other ring? Storyteller's ring? Yeah, let's just put it on here. Okay. The Defender's Heart greets you with unexpected liveliness. Beyond the walls of the tavern, the once bustling and festive city lies in ruins, but somehow none of that can be felt within these walls. The people in the room are talking, laughing, raising toasts, even softly singing. It doesn't look like typical tavern revelry, but nor is it the grim vigilance of recent days. Sealer waves to you. She's sitting at a table with the trio you met previously, the knight, the half-elf, and the red-headed halfling. Stooge, come, let me properly introduce you to Aelin, Janna, and Curl, the fearless warriors of the League of the Inspiring Cart. Sealer pushes a mug of beer towards you and speaks softly. It was me who convinced Irabeth to use what Janna, Curl, and Aelin found for a little party. If you look out the window, you might think the end times have come and the abyss has devoured us all. I thought some simple pleasures, good food, and good company could help keep the gloom at bay. Good. I understand. We need to continue living and fighting however hard that might be, even amidst the chaos that has befallen the city. Allow me to declare my support for Sealer's decision as well. Experience tells me that we should shed no tears until after our victory. If we start to mourn the fallen while the battle is still raging, we'll be jeopardizing all our efforts. Now is the time for rest. We'll bury the dead after the last demon has been driven from Canabras. Hey, are we just going to sit here with grim faces? I say we get to know each other a little better so we have better reasons to toast. How do all of you know Sealer? I met my noble sister on the road to Canabras. I was returning from the south from my fiancée and was happy to be in the company of a paladin of Iomade. We said our farewells at the city gates and I went north along the road to Dresden, to my order's camp. Elan's face grows grim at the mention of the camp. The demons attacked us there at the same time they struck Canabras, but we managed to fight them off. We hurried to the city's aid and joined forces with the Eagle Watch. All my fellow Houndhearts were wounded during the battle on the streets. I'm the last knight of my order who can still fight. It's so good to see Sealer again. Every loyal heart counts these days. I met Sealer at a tavern in Canabras before the attack, of course. She was one of the few who would sit at a table with the condemned. Knights usually don't even look at us, but Sealer is different. I knew it the moment I saw her. That's what made me notice Sealer too, so I sat down to talk to her. I never understood why everyone treated the condemned so horribly, and I still don't. Our Curl is a great lad, so after that night, Sealer and I went round the taverns together every day. Mendev is an amazing place. People from all over the world come here for glory, redemption, or to help those in trouble, and they always find each other. This might be the best place in the world to find like-minded people and friends. That was a toast, in case you didn't notice. Tell me about you and your order, Aelin. As stories go, it's not very entertaining. I was born far to the south in Andorran. I lost my parents early, led the life of a simple mercenary, but often questioned the path I had chosen. I'm proud of my sword skills, I enjoy training at drills, and I'm not afraid of battle, but risking my life for coin? Takes a special mindset to choose that lot with no regrets. You have to want to risk your blood. I saw too many of my friends die, and I wondered if it was worth it. So in the end, I decided to choose another path. Now if I'm going to lay down my life, at least it will be for a good cause. That's how I ended up in Mendev and became a squire for the Hound Hearts. It's a small order. By tradition, it never has more than 12 members, and a new member is only knighted after one of the elders dies. We patrol the lands along the Wardstone line and provide aid to travellers and settlers. Unfortunately, death is common among the Hound Hearts. I became a full knight 2 years ago after laying my mentor to rest, but I'm content with my choice. My place is among the Crusaders. Have you been serving in the Eagle Watch for long, Janna? I signed up 4 days before the demon attack. Am I lucky or what? Janna lets out an overly boisterous laugh. I'm an apprentice of a famous fencing master from Mivon, one of the more stable of the river kingdoms. Oh, okay. And I learned a thing or two from him, believe me. I soon got bored of fighting off bandits and getting involved in petty squabbles of the bickering river kingdoms. I wanted a proper challenge, and you can't find a better place than Mendev. And what do you know, the moment I arrived, the demonic invasion began. My father would say that's no accident. Fate brought me here. What about you, Curl? How did you end up among the condemned? I just did what everyone else was doing. I grew up in the slums where everyone stole a little or maybe smuggled or guarded stashes, but I never killed anybody and I never did anything really bad. I got caught stealing, and when they made me choose between prison and the condemned, well, of course I didn't want to go to prison. I'm not that good a fighter, but as Norgorber is my witness, a thief can also be useful in a war against demons. I've always been a good scout. I can sneak under the nose of any monster, but I don't know where my friends are now. We got separated when the demons rampaged through the city. It's known as the once mortal god of thievery and assassination, as well as a keeper of secrets, okay? Chin up, friend. Whoever you were in the past, you're our friend now, and a crusader. Your skills will be useful to us, you'll see. Seela, did you call me over just because, or is it something the matter? I didn't just want to talk about today's celebration. You see, Elan is in trouble. I want to help him, and I don't know anyone else in the city I can turn to. His fellow knights were all wounded in battle. Elan shakes his head. Bad idea, sister. I told you, I don't want to bother anyone else with my problems. I need to handle them on my own. Oh, come on. Hiding your sadness from your friends is no way to live. Tell me more. The young knight shakes his head. In all truth, I do not wish to impose. My problems are just minor troubles. A paladin of Iomade and her friends certainly have more important things to do, especially now that Convalescing has been overrun with demons. If I've learned anything in life, it's that there's nothing minor about good or evil. Seela begins seriously, but then a smile lights up her face. Take the three of you, for example. It seems like all you did was save one cart from some lesser demons, but look how many people are happy now. That feat will never be sung of in songs, but who knows, maybe thanks to this one joyous hour of peace and rest, the defenders of Convalescing will find the strength to protect the city. I talk too much, don't I? Well, Sir Aelin, I want to help you, and my reputation as a holy warrior of Iomade won't suffer if it's more of a minor adventure than a glorious feat. The knight sighs and seems a little embarrassed. Alright, I'll explain. The life of a crusader has given me more than just a purpose and a chance to serve a righteous cause. When I abandoned the life of a mercenary and came to Mendev, I gained something else I never expected. It's here that I met, may all the ladies here forgive me, the finest girl in all the world. It's a miracle she found any love in her own heart for a bungler like me, but I'm not about to let this miracle go. Not even the demon lord Discari and all his demon army can stand in my way. Luckily, my beloved is now safely away from Convalescing. For half a year I've been getting up my courage to propose to her. I even ordered a ring from Darek Sunhammer, the best jeweler in Mendev. Independent knightly orders live mostly off donations, and I'm not what you would call rich, but I so want to make Kiana happy. Oh, it took me 3 months to find a jewel the same shade as her eyes, and twice that long to scrape together enough money. Master Darek's work was worth it, but I lost the ring during the demon attack and I'll probably never find a worthy replacement. The ring is most likely still at the Houndheart's camp outside the city. Aelin and his friends didn't have time to pack up their camp. First the demons ambushed them and then they rushed off to help Convalescing. I think we should at least go there and check. Not right now of course, but once the situation in the city is under control. What could we run into at this camp? My friends and I killed 2 large demons attacking the camp, then rode straight to the city without spending any more time cleaning up the rest of their band. It was only a few imps, but they might still be at the camp. Of course, this was a while ago. Our camp was attacked at the same time as the wardstone in the main square, and I haven't been back there since. Fine, I will help. Sela puts a hand on your shoulder. Thanks for agreeing to help. Aelin is a good man and a true knight, and I think the world should repay those who are so devoted to doing good. Let's help him so he can propose to his beloved the way he wanted. Sela, I hope you can convince Irabeth to let me go with you when you do this. I don't want to be parted from my friends. Of course, if the League of the Inspiring Cart has come together in this dark hour, we must continue onward together. Okay. Notes for the Storyteller. League of the Inspiring Cart. More than nothing. Talk to Nenio, okay. A stay of execution. Common cause, burning city. Ask Irabeth to start the attack. That's fine. And these groups or factions have joined the crusade. Okay. Let's see. Do we have enough cash? Probably not. I don't think we will. Not Dark Omen. Yeah, I don't think any of these are all that useful. That's fine. Okay, I guess it's time to rest. Still has... Oh, he has Filth Fever again, which is not ideal. We have lost the corruption, so that's good. Do we want to keep exploring? I guess we probably could do that before we come back. How's our health look? Health is looking fine, actually. Stooge and his wolf aren't doing so crash hot, but I think that's okay. Alright, let's take a quick look at Joran Vane's shop. If you know who's who in the city, maybe you can tell me something about Count Arende. I'll tell you, why not? Everyone knows the story, you see, but you could say that I'm the one who found it, in a way. The Arendes are a very wealthy and ancient line, and they hail from the outlying areas of Convalescing. That's where the Arende family seat is, along with their ancestral lands. In the past, if Mendev was ever feuding with Sarkoris or some clan from there was causing trouble, the Count and Countess Arende were the ones who would defend the border with their soldiers. Their main residence was called Heaven's Edge. It still stands to this day north of here on the road toward Dresden, but no one lives around. But no one lives there now. Around 10 or so years ago, there was a grand celebration held at the estate. The mother and the guardian of the current Count invited the great and the good to celebrate his birthday. The entire Arende clan was there, as well as many other nobles, and then without warning, the demons struck. Clearly they couldn't ignore such a perfect opportunity to cut down so many of Mendev's great dynasties in one fell swoop. There was even a chance that the queen herself would make an appearance, for she was related to the count as well. Well, when no news came from the estate, a troop of inquisitors was sent to investigate. They forced open the gates and discovered a manor full of corpses. They all perished, the servants, the guards, the guests, including some of Iomede's chosen clerics and paladins. The demons had unleashed a magical plague, terrifying and strange, the likes of which hadn't been seen before or since. And among all this was young Daron Arende, the only survivor. The Count had a talent for divine magic since his youth, healing magic in particular, and that must be why he didn't die along with the rest. He couldn't explain how he survived the disease. I saw him that day when they brought him into the city, pale and barely conscious of his surroundings. So that's the story. Since then, Heaven's Edge has stood abandoned, sealed off to the outside world. People are still afraid to go near the place. Okay, good to know. Let's see what he has. What do we want anything from here? Not necessarily. Don't think so. This helmet grants a wearer DR3 but suffers -3 to perception checks. Devastating blow from above. Whenever the wielder of this +1 long spear lands a hit while mounted, it deals additional 1d4 piercing. Armor of Vigilance? +1 leather armor grants wearer +4 bonus to AC against sneak attacks. Okay, that's interesting. Alright, so I guess not too much else here. Normally when the tavern defense is about to happen, there is a messenger that comes along to inform us that the tavern is under attack. I think generally we can get another arrest in before actually doing the defense. But maybe we should just rest now. And yeah, see what happens.
What in the name of the Green Mother's going on in this crazy town?
Ceiling gives way with a thundering crash and a griffin lands on the floor of the tavern. In a flash, the creature transforms. A huge, red-bearded man now stands before you. Folding his arms, he casts a proprietary eye over the tavern and in a deep, booming voice asks, okay?
Who's in charge here? You there in the armor? Or is it you, tavern keeper? Or maybe it's you, old-timer? Oh, you, I remember. You were in that ravaged fortress with all the books. You can explain all this to me. Well?
Ignoring the looks of astonishment, the man approaches and looks you dead in the eye. Let's go with the will option.
You're good.
Succeeded. We got 14 experience, which is nice. Oh, 11 experience.
All right. First things first. If by some chance you don't already know, they call me Ulbrich. Ulbrich Olesk. Chief of the Olesk clan. The one that gave Barzog's orcs a drubbing. What, never heard of them either? I'll be damned. Is this an illusion or something? One minute I'm laying myself down for a nap in a glade one summer's day, and the next I'm waking up among ruins and flames and monsters running riot. No one knows me. But you see, my name's famous across Sarkoris. Where in the blazes am I? What's going on here?
You have heard songs that tell of the glorious victory of an alliance of Sarkorian tribes over an orcish horde led by a chief called Barzag. But that was a long time ago, centuries in the past before the demon invasion. Is it possible that this man does not know that Sarkoris has fallen? In the library there was a stone statue of a griffin. It came to life and suddenly flew off. Was that you?
A statue, you say? Strange. I don't remember being turned to stone. But if it looked like a griffin, then it must have been me. Take a gander at this. Don't worry, I won't scratch you. I'm no werewolf, I'm a shifter. My powers were granted to me by the sacred griffin Irabeth, who protects our clan. I doubt you've got any other griffins flying about this city beyond.
You said you saw me in the library? When?
Now, let me think. Strange, the memory's in there, but it's all broken up in little pieces. So, I opened my eyes, I saw books and stones around me, and you were there. Then I was flying over the city. I had wings. And then I was in this here tavern, and then I saw you again.
You're saying you fell asleep in Sarkoris and woke up here?
That's what I'm saying to you. I was plucked like a fish from a pond and carried off to God's nowhere.
You couldn't come through the door?
The door would have been smarter, right enough. I was asleep too long, that must be it. My head's all muddled. I remember I was flying over the city looking for something, and when I found it, I just drove straight for it. Roads and roofs be damned. But what was I looking for? Drinks? Warriors? No, that's not it. Maybe you. Was I looking for you? All right, that's enough questions from you. Now answer some of mine. Where am I, and what's going on here?
Tell the truth, I suppose. This city is called Canabras. I don't know how long you were asleep, but Sarkoris hasn't existed for 100 years.
Oh, I can't take it anymore. Oh, you got me there. You're telling me I fell asleep for 100 years. Sarkoris was swallowed by demons, and Canabras, that little fishing village, is now a fortress city. Oh, go on, pull the other one. Fine. If you don't want to tell me what's going on, don't. We're in a tavern, not in the middle of nowhere. There's plenty of folks around. I'm sure one of these people will tell me what's happening here. There's one thing I do know without asking. You've got a tough fight on your hands. I'm not one to wait on an invitation to a brawl, so if you're making ready to break some demon horns, I'm going with you. But in the meantime, I'm gonna have a taste of whatever ale they brew here.
Okay, not sure why that didn't trigger before when we first walked in, but it is what it is. Okay, I guess we should talk to Nenio now. Boy, I am pleased with you. I asked you to bring me to safety, and that's exactly what you did. Indeed, having a follower to aid me is most efficient and frankly pleasing. With you on hand, I shall conquer new horizons, plumb the depths of knowledge hitherto unknown, and scale the dizzying heights of future discoveries. What I mean is, I'd like to express my deepest gratitude. I foresee immense potential in our future cooperation. Happy to help. Hand in hand, we will unravel the greatest mysteries inaccessible to the minds of ordinary people. Just imagine it, I leading the way, proudly staring into the faces of the gods themselves, and you, my loyal follower, walking behind me every step of the way, writing down my deepest thoughts and admiring the profundity of my intellect. Okay, if we hold hands, you won't be able to go in front of me and lead the way. You are the catalyst which, when it reacts with my intellect, will allow the latter to grasp the very essence of the universe itself. Do you always express your delight so effusively? What? Who are you? Nenio stares at you for a while, bewilderment in her eyes, but then it is replaced by recognition. Oh yes, my new follower. So what am I supposed to do? Oh yes, I must provide some verbal encouragement for your as yet modest achievements and try to induce you to strive for more of such encouragement. That is the principle that underpins any training. She frowns, but only for an instant. Ah, I see. Your modest nature was unsettled by the overabundance of my gratitude. I do apologize for putting you in such an awkward position. I will never praise you again unless I forget. But let's get back to the business at hand. Your new assignment will be to take me to the inconspicuous ruins that are located in an even more inconspicuous valley lying between Canabras and Dresden. As soon as is reasonably practicable, I'll mark the place on your map with a large red cross so you won't forget it. What's so special about these ruins near Canabras? I'm glad you asked. This is my greatest hypothesis, my secret project, and I won't pass up the opportunity to share it with you. Because you are my most loyal follower and you are worthy of possessing such knowledge. And also because you are the first person to ever ask me about it. Some time ago I was walking around the border of the Worldwood and I met a strange person. He was wearing a frayed grey robe and his face was hidden behind an odd white mask. Of course I didn't miss the opportunity to ask him about the reasons for his absurd appearance, and do you know what he said to me? He said, I am the answer, but what is the question? Then he walked off in the direction of the world wound. The next day after I had already forgotten about the first encounter, I had another similar encounter. This time I met an elven woman, judging by the pointy ears sticking out from behind the mask. I am the answer, but what is the question? She said before taking off toward the whirlwind. And then I realized everything became clear to me. I know a mystery when I see one. Consider this one of my myriad talents. Nenia rubs the tip of her nose. After all these geysers weren't simply on their way to a costume party, were they? After examining several maps, I determined that they were all heading in one direction, to a place not far from Canabres. A place which is marked as nameless ruins even on ancient Sarkorian maps. That's where I need to go. Unraveling the secret of that place will be my greatest discovery. It will secure my place in history or perhaps even in legend. How do you know where we have to go? Do you know how to find a beehive in a forest? You need to catch 2 bees, set them free in 2 different locations of the forest and remember the directions they fly in. Then you take a map and draw lines showing the bees' routes. The place where the lines intersect will mark the location of the beehive. Fascinating, yes? By the way, forest bees do not make any honey. I use the beehive principle here too. For a couple of months I tracked the strange people in the mask and observed the direction in which they were traveling. I collected the coordinates, mapped their estimated routes, and made a discovery. All the routes intersected at the nameless ruins not far from Canabres. What do you expect to find there? I haven't the slightest idea. If I knew what was hidden there, I wouldn't be so eager to go. The ruins aren't very far from Canabres. You could easily get there all by yourself. Why do you need me? Nenia's eyes seem ready to pop out of their sockets in surprise. Don't you see? This is a legendary secret place. Who knows what may happen to me after I lift the veil and uncover the workings of the universe. My mortal body may be unable to contain all that knowledge, or perhaps I will ascend and become equal to the gods themselves. I need you to write down everything that happens and report my fate to the interested parties in Absalom, and don't forget to praise me as I deserve while you're there. You know these ruins of yours may turn out to be just that, ruins. In that case, we'll write this experiment off as a failure and start another one. I don't know which experiment I'll try next. Alright, that's all I wanted to know about. Well, now you know, so off we go. Did I just make a rhyme? Perhaps I've discovered poetic talent in myself. Let's conduct an experiment. Quickly say any word and I'll try to find a rhyme for it right away. Let's go with science. That's when thinkers make alliance, intellectual defiance. Not the best rhymes, don't you think? Well, this experiment was unsuccessful. We learned that I have no poetic talent after all. But it's no reason to despair. Having a gift of poetry in addition to my inexhaustible intelligence would have been a little too much. Besides, I'm catastrophically busy and have no time to spend on writing poetry. Alright, I have to go. Nenia produces a crumpled piece of paper from her sleeve and takes some notes on it. This conversation lasted approximately 5 minutes. By the way, did you know that is the exact same amount of time the Inquisitors of Canabres need to find a defendant guilty? But to shake off Inquisitors chasing you takes 5 times as long. That experiment proved that running while clad in heavy armor is not burdensome for them at all. Nenia is quite an interesting character, so it's always funny to talk to her. Okay, I guess we could talk to Ulbrich and maybe Camellia as well, but yeah. I think this is a good place to end the episode. This one was basically just talking to people and finding out about a bit more lore stuff. And obviously a bit of a debate with Indra, who's disappeared. I wonder if she'll make an appearance later on actually in the game. I don't remember seeing her up until the point that I've reached, so I don't know if she makes an appearance in Act 5 or wherever else. Or maybe I just missed her, but it's going to be interesting to see if she shows up again. In the next episode, we'll probably do a rest. I think it's probably about time to rest up anyway, just to get our spell slots back before the Tavern defense. So we'll see what happens after the rest, whether that triggers the actual Tavern defense itself, in which case we'll be able to do that, which should be interesting. But yeah, that's it for this particular episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Hope you have a good one.